In college algebra, we worked more possible rational zero problems. So we did these two in the last video, and we're going to do number 3 probably through number 5. So what we need to do on number 3, I don't prompt you through the questions I asked on 1 and 2, so it's just kind of understood that you write down the factors of the constant. So factors of -6. You need to write down the factors of the lead coefficient, which is easy. That's just a 1. And then lastly, write down, this is the important thing, the possible zeros. And another way to think of that is answers. So this step right here, this what I just wrote down is what we did on 1 and 2. So for example, 1 and -1 divide into -6. 1 and -2, 1 and -3, and 1, or sorry, I'm saying 1, positive and -3, positive and -6. And then, I think I was looking at that 1 down there, positive and -1. So the first two lines there are a little redundant because you divide by the factors of the lead coefficient and you just end up with that first list of factors of 6. So if you see that's going to happen, I'm A-okay with you doing that. And this right here, to be honest, this list right here is a possible question on a quiz. I may ask, what are the possible zeros in this equation? All right. Now, you literally guess which one you think will give you a remainder of 0. So I'll show you how to do it wrong, and then I'll show you how to do it right. So for example, let's check 1. So I'm going to do synthetic division for the number 1. I'm going to write the front numbers that I see up here. I'm going to write those right here and do synthetic division. Double check that all your signs are right because you don't want to do all this math and you have it written down wrong. All right, we're ready. So the 1 drops down. We get a 3. Get a 3. And looks like we are not going to get a 0 remainder. So that means x is not 1 because the remainder is not 0. All right? So what I typically do the moment I see I'm not going to get a remainder of 0 is I just cross it out. So one that does work is if I had picked -1 to start out, I would have gotten a remainder of 0. So I need to prove it. So I do grade that you did the synthetic division. And we get 0. So this means x equals -1 because the remainder is 0. All right? So what you can do is you can keep guessing and try and get the other two zeros because I see an x cubed in the equation. That means that there's 3 answers. So that means 3 of these were correct and will give us a remainder of 0. Or you could take this and try and factor it. So that means x squared plus x minus 6. And I believe that's factorable, right? 2 numbers that multiply to -6 that add up to 1. How about a +3 and a -2? So that means one of the correct answers is -3. And the other correct answer, whoops, not plus, is +2. So if we had guessed -3 or +2, we would have gotten a remainder of 0. All right? So that's one way to approach this, just literally guessing and checking. I'm going to show you another way on number 4, a little faster. So on number 4, we have x to the 4th. That means there could be 4 answers on this one. My constant is 24, so I need factors of 24. I need factors of 1, and then I need my possible zeros. So factors of 24 plus minus 1 plus minus 2, a bunch, right? All right, so those are the factors of 24. Factors of 1 are just plus minus 1. And you know, I don't really feel like rewriting that line. So as long as you somehow tell me that that line up there is the answer, maybe do a bracket like this, I'm A-okay with that. All right, so now literally guess which one you think it is. I'm going to guess 1. Ooh, negative 1 worked on the last one. Let's do negative 1. So make a note. I'm checking negative 1. I need to write the front numbers. Notice up here it skips x cubed. I need a 0 placeholder. I'm going to change colors. Too much black on the board. It's all going to blend in. So we got 1, 0, negative 6, negative 8, and 24. Now it looks like Texas Tech, right? Skimming my front numbers, making sure I copied correctly. All right, now we're ready. So the 1 comes down. Not looking good. So I know x is not negative 1 because remainder is not 0. So I'm not going to look at this one anymore. But I see all those choices and I'm worried I could be here a while. So here's an alternative. Go to your calculator and type in the function. So we have x to the 4th minus 6x squared minus 8x plus 24. Double check I typed it right, hit enter, and it reveals the answer or answers. This graph only hits at x equals 2. I'm not going to mark on here because I'll lose the ink that I had a second ago, but this thing crosses the x-axis at 2. That means that 2 will give me a 0 remainder. So that's one way to cheat and approach it. So I do grade that you demonstrate it, so you got to show me. You get a 0 remainder. And sure enough, look at that. X equals 2 because R equals 0. But something else is important in that graph. It only hits at 2. That means that the other answers are imaginary. So make a note here. Checked You don't have to write this, just for your notes. Let's say on calculator. This is the only rational zero. Others are imaginary. So if you have imaginary zeros, they won't show up on the graph. And that means there's only one answer on this. We could have sat there, 4, 5, 8, 16 choices up there. I could have gone through 15, or we already did 2. I could have gone through 14 other choices. All of them would have had remainders, and we would have been at a total loss. So what I grade is I want to see the list right here. I want to see at least the division for the answer that it zeroes out, and then, of course, the answer. So if you want to go with the calculator from the beginning, that works for me. Just prove your answer. All right? So let's do one more, number 5. And I'm going to start with the calculator. So I'm going to type that in there. Doc B, we'll wipe that out. And we have x cubed plus 2x squared plus 5x plus 4. And I know it has 1 0 at -1, and that's it. If you're worried, maybe it does something outside of our window, maybe zoom out. But yeah, it just hits at -1. So on your paper, you need to show me that. But let's list out our possible zeros. So factors of 4, factors of 1, and possible zeros. So I do grade this part. We got plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and plus minus 4, plus minus 1. And the possible zeros when I divide by 1 are plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 4. So that's one answer right there that I grade, one part that I grade. I saw already that -1 is going to check out, and that's the only one. So let's divide -1. I need to write the front numbers down. Double check I wrote down the front numbers right, no exponents skipped. I think we're good to go. And sure enough, I get a 0 remainder. X equals -1. All right, hope that made sense. See y'all later. Bye.